Okay, Rich Van Tassel back with you. Our final segment today, another NBA in depth. This one, we're going to look at the Washington Wizards and how disappointing they've been. Now, I've been obviously critical on the Houston Rockets. We did the flash alert last night. They're the team I picked to win the championship, and they've been extremely disappointing. Right there behind them would be the Washington Wizards, who I picked to go all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're just not having a good year. They've now lost back to back on a West Coast trip. They come in, I believe it's 3.5 behind Indiana now for the final playoff spot. On this West Coast trip that they're on, they played in Golden State. They were actually playing well. I thought they might have a chance to win that game. They certainly came out focused. Golden State was a little sloppy at first, but came out and got the win. And then a loss to the Sacramento Kings is one you can't have in the situation the Wizards are in. Yeah, they're all three out behind the Indiana Pacers for the final playoff spot. This is a team that went to the playoffs the past two seasons, won the first round series both times, and played very well on the road, actually. The home is where their struggles were in the playoffs. The first place you could start is they don't have Paul Pierce on the team anymore. I believe that affects them on some level, but I believe a lot of Paul Pierce's leadership rubbed off. John Wall has certainly been a guy who appears he wanted to take the next step, and I've seen nothing that would suggest he hasn't as far as a leadership role. You certainly got to give him that. A lot has to do with injuries. Bradley Beal has not been able to play as much as they would like him to, obviously. Yeah, when you look at John Wall, I mean, 19.9 points, 10.2 assists. He's doing everything possible. John Wall is not the problem here in Washington. We're going to look up Bradley Beal right now. They've played 75 games. Bradley Beal has played in 50 of them. This is one of your better players. I mean, 17.5 points, only 2.9 assists. I'd like to see more from a shooting guard. A guy who's only 22, very young, and has certainly come along well. He's put up some decent numbers the last couple games, but inconsistent. He had 26 and 5 against Minnesota. Followed that up with a game against the Los Angeles Lakers. 4 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds. Only took 3 shots. Or excuse me, was 1 of 5, 1 of 3 from 3-point land. 17 and 4, not great against a Golden State Warrior team. 6 for 16 from behind the arc. Followed it up with 24 points, 10 of 21 shooting against the Sacramento Kings, and that all started with a 7-point outing against the Atlanta Hawks, just not getting the job done. So Bradley Beal, I think his injuries have been a large problem to do with it. Marcin Gortat. Nene, I believe, has missed some games this year. Yeah, he's only played in 51 games. You had a very good backcourt with with Bradley Beal and John Wall, and you had a solid front court with the two twin towers of Nene and Marcin Gortat. And now it's really starting to, it's just not been together for the Washington Wizards this year, and it's disappointing to see. This was a team I had going to the Eastern Conference Finals. John Wall is a very exciting young player. Bradley Beal as well, and the way they were moving up, advancing past the first round the past two seasons, winning a lot of road games, finally winning a home game in the second round last year. I thought a lot of things were going to go right for the Washington Wizards this year. And John Wall, a guy who's an all defensive player, a very good point guard. So I'm feeling for him right now because he has certainly not been the issue. I think John Wall is a guy who wants it. He wants to win. He takes his profession very seriously, and unfortunately, it's just injuries, a lot of inconsistencies. We're seeing Bradley Beal, Marcin Gortat are not on the same page. That'll happen with injuries when a guy's not playing. Offensively, defensively, it'll affect you as well if you don't have a guy in. Bradley Beal's not the greatest defender, but still just knowing where he has to be, defensive rotations, things like that. Having a guy like Beal out and Nene, two of your starters. Nene, especially on the back line, he's more of the defensive presence, while Gortat is more of the offensive presence on the offensive side of the ball. Or, excuse me, from the big man's perspective. Gortat provides that, 13 points, 10 rebounds. He's a good defensive player, does have 1.3 blocks per game, but he's much more of an offensive threat than Nene is. But with guys out, it really affects your defense, and it's been hampering them. And Can they make the playoffs? They would essentially have to win out at 36 and 39. You know, Indiana is 39 and 36. So they both have 7 games left. Let's say Indiana goes 1 game below 500 in their final 7. They go 3 and 4. That would make them 42 and 40, which would mean that Washington would have to go 6 and 1 the rest of the way. So you're looking at a team that's ahead of you playing under 500, which is certainly possible. But you, who are 3 games under 500 for the entire season, would have to go 6 and 1. So they really need Indiana to struggle down the stretch if they want to have any hopes of making it. So again, I gotta attest to the fact that I have been off with 2 of the teams I expected to do very well this season. That's the Houston Rockets and the Washington Wizards. So anyone wants to leave comments, they can do so, questioning where I came up with these 2 picks, but that's it. So that's it for today's segments here. Be sure to subscribe if interested. Again, we appreciate all subscriptions. And any flash news alerts coming throughout the weekend or going into next week, we will bring them to you. If not, we will see you all on Tuesday for our weekly NBA report. The Boston Celtics, for all my Celtics fans, are playing tonight in Golden State. Terrible loss last night. I'm going to predict that Golden State does win this game. I think the Celtics do have a shot. I expect Golden State to lose a game the rest of the way. And, I don't see many losses left on the schedule, but I'm expecting Golden State to get this win tonight, and the Celtics are really going to have to figure something out. That's a little side note. So Golden State Warriors tonight, 100-89, and Celtics are limping to the end of this West Coast trip. So thank you all so much again, and be sure to enjoy your weekend and stay tuned in the Flash News Alerts. Thank you.